Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Employability World Tour webinar focusing on job search in the United Arab Emirates today. My name is Floriane Lambert. I work for the EMLYON alumni department, and I am in charge of international development and coordination of regional and international activities. This series of webinar is organized by the EMLYON alumni department, Delphine Rome, who is here today, and myself. I will be your webinar moderator today, and Delphine will take all your questions along the chat box and be in charge of the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So this webinar is part of a series aiming at learning the employment specificities in various countries and meeting our EMLYON alumni graduates around the globe, living and working in these countries. I would like to thank warmly our three speakers today, Linda, Lee, and Naim. All of them are EMLYON graduates, and they all have a past or current experience of working or living in the United Arab Emirates. And today they will share their expertise and knowledge of the Emirati job market with you. Just a quick note before we start about the technical aspects of this webinar. So if you can turn on your camera, it will be much nicer to all of us. You are welcome to ask your questions and by using the chat box. And so as I mentioned before, there will be a Q&A session at the end. You will have the opportunity also to turn on your micro and ask your questions directly to our speakers. This session is recorded, so it can be shared with our students and alumni who have not been able to attend today. So now I turn to my colleague Delphine Rome, who will share with you a few aspects of the international career tips and resources that the alumni department can offer. So Delphine, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Floriane. Well, I'm Delphine Rome, and I'm in charge of the career department for the EMLYON Alumni Network. I just wanted to underline that you have several other options to prepare your travel abroad. Commencing by the Employability World Tour, we have been visiting 17 sessions since 21, since the year 21. This means that you can find all the replays online on our website. We've got lots of international communities. So if you have to, if you plan to travel abroad and work abroad, you can join an international community. You can find Going Global online. It's an international guide that helps you finding and preparing your travel. There is a lot of information on visa types, salary levels, and the job market. So it's lots of information you can find. You can as well find more information about languages you might want to improve, and you might connect to the library. So we've got a connection to Alticia. And another thing that you should know, it's our offer that's totally free to all alumni, but as well to students. We've got a connection with What's For You Lifelong Learning that gives many opportunities to find information on intercultural management, cross-cultural negotiations, and even language as well. So you can find all of these informations on our websites. That's it. And if you have any question concerning career development, you can connect directly to the email that I will type online. It's careeralumni@em-lyon.com. I will now give the floor to Linda, who will start sharing about her and its experience in the Arab
Today.
Emirates. Linda.
Thanks, Delphine. Hi, everyone. So I'm Linda Swag. I left EMLYON back in 2014, and I started my career in Paris and then in London as a consultant in the financial services. I worked for 2 different consulting firms, and then I moved to the UAE early 2019. Specific condition, I joined my husband, who had been sent there for work. Means I had to find a job on site. So if you have questions on this one, I'd be happy to answer. I stayed for almost 3 years in the UAE. I was based in Dubai and worked for MasterCard as a strategic program manager, where I worked for a local bank, Ras Al Khaimah Bank, doing both strategy and business development. I moved back to Paris in early 2022. So I'm now based in Paris, but I can still answer your questions about how it worked for me when I landed in Dubai.
Thank you, Linda. Lee?
Hello, everyone. My name is Lee Hbeya. I'm based in Dubai. I've been 7.5 years there. I'm currently the founder and general manager of a small boutique consulting firm called SuperSub. We do revenue and sales operations, sales training, CRM, and basically everything that revolves around making money, basically for B2B businesses. Prior to starting this business, I've worked at Google for 4 years in the cloud team. As well, I was part of the Uber Eats launch team in the Middle East and Africa back in late 2016. And yeah, I'm basically pretty much a local now, and I'll be happy to answer any questions related to doing business, starting a business in the UAE as well, and all things related to the job market.
Thank you very much, Lee. And Naeem?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for connecting. So I'm Naeem. I'm currently in Dubai since close to 10 years. So September 1st, I'll blow on the 10th anniversary. Currently, I'm the founder of a boutique special situation advisory firm, incorporated in France, but operating across the EMEA region, focused on private credit and distressed M&A. Prior to that, so this is a new venture. I started 8 months ago. Prior to that, spent actually the last 9 years in Dubai working for a fund, doing deals across the MENA region. My background primarily is in corporate finance, private equity. So since I graduated in 2008 from EMLYON, I worked in a fund in Kuwait in private equity. Then I did some VC. Then I moved to the States to do my MBA and came here. So I'll be pleased to share some insights about the nuances of the UAE market, how it compares to other GCC markets, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, if that's interesting to you, but as well to Europe. And if you are looking to break into finance, also we can have a specific discussion around that topic. Thank you.
Thank you, Naeem. Just a quick note now on the alumni network in Dubai. So we have more than 200 EMLYON graduates located in the UAE. So that's quite a high number of alumni. It's quite a large community. Mostly graduated from the PGE, Programme Grande École. So if you're looking for a job in Dubai or internship, feel free to join the group on the platform, EMLYON Alumni platform, and on LinkedIn. So you can be notified of the upcoming events and activity of the community. Also, don't forget to update, to check and update your profile on the platform to make sure that you are located at the right place. We have your correct email address, etc. So you can be notified of the activity. So now Lee is going to share with you the global picture of the employment situation in the UAE.
Thank you. So just to give you a bit of clarity on the UAE as per also why unemployment rates are extremely low. Typically, to be able to live as a resident in the UAE, you need to have a residency visa. And a visa is typically something that your employer sponsors you with. But as also a sponsored person, you can sponsor your own family members, let's say, wife, husband, and children. So practically speaking, if you live in the UAE, you most likely have a job or you're related to someone who has a job. It's also a very dynamic economy, which means, it's growing. All of these factors contribute to the fact that employment rates are extremely high. Now, the workforce in the UAE has been growing tremendously, just like the population. As a matter of fact, the country has done quite a lot to attract people into the country, investors and workers. And obviously, you've probably seen in the news a lot of infrastructure projects, a lot of tourism-related projects. So ultimately, the market is attractive from a work standpoint, but it's also very attractive from a lifestyle standpoint. It's sunny all year long. You've probably heard about the recent rainfalls we've had, which are pretty exceptional, but most of the year the weather is extremely sunny, and it's a destination both for tourism and work-related matters. Now, the one thing I'll tell you is that obviously quite a lot of people moved to the UAE, specifically Dubai and Abu Dhabi in the past few years. A lot of digital nomads as well, and I'll tackle this point in a minute. Which makes the market pretty saturated with talent. Now, it doesn't mean there are no job opportunities. There are always job opportunities because the economy, is pretty dynamic. But overall, the opportunities are a bit more scarce than they were a few years ago, 7, 10, 15 years ago. So, looking for jobs is a bit more challenging, and companies have been more inclined to hire local talent because the talent pool is there, obviously. So if there are people who can do the job in the market and who have experience in the market, typically those are, can be prioritized over profiles coming from abroad for obvious reasons. There is the fact that they don't need to move, so they are available to work fairly quickly. The fact that in most cases they understand the cultural and business dynamics, whether it's in the UAE or in the rest of the Gulf countries. And for some of them, they also speak Arabic, which comes in handy, specifically if you're doing a lot of business with Saudi Arabia, which, as you've probably heard, is also booming in many ways. And so that's a bit of the work or the employment situation right now in the UAE. Now, if you follow the news, you've also seen that the UAE is basically wants to be at the forefront of all things related to innovation. So the non-oil economy has been growing tremendously in the past few years and represents a much bigger chunk of the total GDP of the country. So if you look at sectors like IT, technology, banking, finance, and sub-sectors like fintechs, real estate and construction, tourism, hospitality, including things like F&B, all of these sectors are actually big employers, simply because the country runs on a lot of services and is also investing in a lot of innovation and technology, whether it's like pure R&D or services around technology. Fintechs I've mentioned, insurtech, AI most recently. And the second point is new age sectors. If you look at Abu Dhabi and Dubai specifically, they've been really investing in creating hubs and incubators around the digital economy, AI, which is a big topic everywhere in the world, and the metaverse. So if you're into these fields, there's quite a lot of focus on these, as well as investments, both from governments, but as well private sector actors. In terms of roles, the typical, basically anything that is revenue focused, sales and marketing roles are typically pretty in demand. And when it comes to more specialized or niche roles, and again, related to the new age sector, anything related to data science, digital communication, advertising, e-commerce, basically anything related to the digital world is pretty much in demand because the economy is growing, because everything is being digitized, and because the pace of innovation is actually exponential, whether it's in the UAE, but also in Saudi, which is a key market even for businesses based out of the UAE. Now, looking at how do you actually get a job, or how do you actually become a resident in the UAE, there are very different ways to do so, but obviously depending on where you stand in your career and your professional and personal ambitions, you could very much find a job. And if you find a job, well, your employer will be sponsoring you and potentially members of your family. So you'll be officially a resident and you'll be allowed to work and live in the UAE. You can also be an investor. So if you have money on the side and you want to invest in the market, including in real estate, there are certain conditions that allow you to then become a resident. And then there's the entrepreneurial route or way, which is EMLYON, one of EMLYON's basically core focus areas as a business school. And both, I mean, two out of three members of this panel are actually entrepreneurs. So that's a good example of how the school has pushed us in this direction. But basically, if you can obtain a freelance visa, which you need to renew every year. So if you have a core competency or skills that you want to make available to businesses in the region or in the market, you can move to the UAE on the basis of a freelance visa and live there. But you can also do just like myself and Naeem, we have started businesses, which means as a business owner, we can hire people and we can also sponsor ourselves if we're employees of the business. And so those are ways to be able to reside officially and formally in the UAE. Obviously, there are a lot of different ways to do so. I won't get into the details. I'm happy to answer any questions that are obviously not legal advice, but like general knowledge around these conditions to obtain a visa. Now, other interesting things in the UAE are around the labor laws. They've evolved quite a lot in the past couple of years. It was pretty much free market for a while. But now there are more and more policies around protecting employees, which is very interesting. There's a savings scheme that has been implemented. There's even an unemployment insurance scheme that is not exactly the same models that you can find in France or in Europe, but it's a pretty good advancement in terms of protecting employees. And most, if not all, contracts are now fixed-term employment contracts, which allows some flexibility and also protects the employee because things can be potentially reviewed every once in a while. Now, one last important piece for you as well, related to also some of the saturation in some sectors of the market, is Emiratization policies. So basically, the local government is trying to encourage the local population and graduates to consider careers in the private sector, knowing that historically Emiratis have been more inclined to work in the public sector. So there are policies around this to encourage them to join private sector companies, whether they're local or international ones. And this obviously plays into the overall dynamics of the market, of the job market. Next slide, please. Yeah. So the UAE is a very, very diverse country. Obviously, those are estimates based on data available on the government's website, but the population in the UAE is roughly 10 million people, out of which 9 million are expats. And within this expat population, the largest communities are Indian, Filipino, Pakistani. Then you have a bunch of different people coming from European countries, South Africa, Australia, Europe, and the Middle East. So it's a pretty diverse country, which means a lot of things. It's very diverse in terms of culture, whether it's outside or at work, which means you need to learn how to adapt and adjust to your peers and colleagues. But the other advantage that you have is very diverse in terms of cuisine. And for me, who loves eating, I get to be able to pick from a very wide variety of cuisine types and restaurants, whether it's on delivery or dine-in. So that's like, for those who like food, basically you have as many cuisine types as you have nationalities and cultures in the country. And you can basically assume that there are as many nationalities in the UAE as you have countries in the world, to put it simply. You've met people from countries you've never even heard about. The economy has shown resilience. As I said, non-oil and oil sectors have been doing pretty well. And so, yeah, it's pretty dynamic. The last piece I'll tackle is the geographic breakdown in terms of sectors. You need to keep in mind that the UAE is a federation of 7 Emirates. The largest ones are Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and that's it's for good reasons that you actually hear of them in the news. Dubai is very much focused on retail, F&B, hospitality, financial services, internet and communication technologies, and real estate. Abu Dhabi is the oil and gas emirate. So basically, this is where the production happens. Most of the employment happens in oil and gas, the public sector, as well as in tourism. You've probably heard they've invested quite a lot in cultural and the cultural aspects of their countries with the Louvre and universities as well. And then you have the other Emirates, Fujairah, Ajman, Sharjah, Al Quwain, and Ras Al Khaimah. Those are smaller, both in terms of population and size, and are usually more around the industrial sector, mining, and in some cases tourism with hospitality and beachfront developments. So yeah, that's pretty much an overview of the job market there, and I'll be happy to answer questions related to this and other topics later on in the Q&A.
Thank you very much, Lee, for these insights about the employment situation in the UAE. We are now going to hear Linda and Naeem talking about the cultural specificities and their own experience of looking for a job in this country. So Linda, the floor is yours.
Better if I'm not on mute. Yes. So yeah, regarding the job market. So first of all, small note, but when I arrived in the UAE, it was 2019. So the situation has slightly changed, as Lee mentioned. Post-COVID, the situation has tremendously evolved, and some criteria I will mention may be obsolete. I don't think so, but yeah. Saying that when I arrived, I started just like when I left school. I started to apply online. Very quickly, I realized I was receiving no answer at all. Why? Because the UAE market is not the French market, so it means anytime a job description or a job ad is posted, they receive applications from around the world. And when I say a high number of applications, I mean thousands and plus. So when I started to chat with the few acquaintances or the friends I had on site, they suggested that I reach out directly to people because it was the only way or the smartest way at least, to get introductions or to go a bit further in the recruitment process. So what I did on my side was to leverage the French community. As Lee mentioned, 90% of the population is composed of expats, and compared to other countries, these are clear identified communities, and people tend to help each other. So the Indians work together, they hire each other. Same for the Filipinos. So don't feel ashamed, reaching out to the French community, trying to leverage this context, because I think it's a good start. I'm naturally curious and I like to reach out to international contacts, but this would be one piece of advice, is leverage this community. So you can reach out to people through LinkedIn, obviously, through your personal network. I mentioned a few groups because they helped me at that time. I don't know if they're still, I think I checked and they're still online on LinkedIn, but this one for the Join the Grande École alumni and the UAE French connection, where you can just, send a message, say, hey, I'm a new joiner. This is my background. And if you identify that the person works in the same industry, maybe they can give you a call, or they can share contacts they have, or if they hear of any opportunity, it can start from anywhere. So for me, it was very important to understand that. Since I used to work in financial services and the fintech world, I also attended a lot of events in the IFC. So the IFC is the financial center in Dubai. They tend to organize a lot of small conferences in the morning, breakfast, where you can network with people who are involved in the tech scene and the fintech scene in Dubai. So it's a good way as well to just say hi, try and get in touch with people you would have no chance otherwise to get in touch with. So that was a good one. And yeah, leverage any personal network. So that was for me the most efficient way to receive answers from the employers, because otherwise don't be, and that's a piece of advice, but don't be disappointed if after applying to, let's say, 50 offers, you don't receive any answers, not even a no, not even I'm sorry, you're not qualified for. So that was one. Now on the fun facts, I joined Dubai as a expat wife status, I'd say, and I was very surprised. So don't be surprised when you're being asked. When I had interviews where I would describe my experience and my background and my skills, and all of a sudden I had a question. And may I ask where, for which company your husband works for? Okay, and I didn't know if it was supposed to help my application or if it was just out of curiosity. But anyway, it's just I didn't know why, because it's the expat life. Maybe sometimes you enter into different considerations. I mean, it didn't influence at all my my career or not. So just don't be surprised. It's not supposed to have an impact. It's just out of curiosity. It may happen from time to time. So just be prepared. And apart from that, yeah, the third category is more about the lifestyle, but and I saw the questions in the chat. So Arabic is not mandatory, definitely. You can, but depending on which sector you work, it may be a plus. Obviously, if you work in the public sector, and public sector is big in the UAE, it's not like in France. It's always a plus because you may work with local people, I mean, Emirati people. There, as Lee mentioned, Emiratization laws at the moment, so which tend to hire more and more local people. So it's always a plus, but definitely not a must. And most of the companies, you'll be working with people from all over the world. When I was working for MasterCard, I worked with people from India, from the Philippines, from South Asia, from Europe, from anywhere else. So English was the only skill that was a must at the time. So apart from that, and yeah, last one is more on the lifestyle, but definitely, and here I'm talking only about Dubai, not the rest of the UAE, but it can offer you the lifestyle you choose. I say that because now Dubai is a bit more known by the people, let's say, outside of the country. But when I moved there, I was surprised to receive questions such as, would you be able to drive there? As a woman, would you be able to go out without your husband? And definitely, I couldn't understand where these questions come from. So I know that now there's a lot of, there's a momentum for Dubai, and it's attracting a lot of people. So people are a bit more aware of the situation. But just, yeah, don't hesitate to chit chat with people. Try and get as much info as possible before entering maybe the country and going with cliches that are not meant to be. That's it.
Thank you very much, Linda, for sharing this useful experience. We're now going to hear Lee sharing his own professional and personal experience. Sorry, not Lee, Naeem, sorry.
We look the same,
Yeah.
except I don't have a beard. I just shaved this morning. Okay, thanks, Florian. So just to start with, let me shed some light on my background, my experience, how I landed in Dubai. So that put things in context. So when I got into Dubai, so that was in 2014. I applied when I was in the US, so I was doing my MBA. I wasn't actually really considering Dubai seriously. I had other plans, but I got an interesting job offer on the school portal at that time. And then I applied. I had most of my interviews virtually. I met some of the CEO in the States, and then, I got the offer. And then because it was an interesting position with a lot of growth prospect, I decided to take the position. Now, while you could argue, okay, how can you decide to move to a country without going? I had the chance to come in 2012 in Dubai for a couple of days, and I enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked the vibe, like Lee mentioned, all the feature of Dubai lifestyle and the attractiveness of the weather and being investor friendly. Now, in hindsight, I think what allowed me to get this job here are numerous things, and that you can extrapolate from that lessons to all the attendants. First of all, it's given that it's a competitive landscape. Okay, everyone is looking for a job in Dubai, increasingly so now. I had something to add. So really, I articulated the value add I would bring to the fund, being language. Okay, I saw a question about Arabic. Well, it depends, right? It depends on what the company is doing, if Arabic is important or not. But in my case, you know, there was a need to have Arabic to look at investment opportunity in Saudi Arabia, Egypt, etc. Secondly, stemming from North Africa, the fund was looking to invest in North Africa, so that was a second element. And three, we like it or not, uh, brand names are important. So when you look at your resume, they look at some you know, accreditation, they're looking at some validation. So you have to, however is your CV, you have to really build it and craft it in a way to emphasize the best that you have. Whether you worked at a multinational company, EMLYON, you know, you should highlight, not just put EMLYON, but, you know, put that it's one of the top business schools in France. You know, internships in Paris or anywhere else. So you have to really go the extra level to craft your resume. And this is, you know, where I think, you know, the Anglo-Saxon or US style is important, and how you market yourself. Marketing extremely important, because here it remains UK/US influence. So really they look at how you present yourself, how you market yourself. And that actually, I think, allowed me to get the job. Now, personally, I think, and this is a question you should ask yourself, okay, is this a place I want to be the next 5 to 10 years, right? And you should articulate that in your interview. If you are here just to enjoy, you know, the beaches and the nightclubs, and the moment you get a better salary, you would leave. If it comes across in the interview, highly likely that they will notice it, and you might not get the job. Are you comfortable with, like mentioned, you know, the ebbs and flow of the weather? Now we have float, which is something new, but there is humidity, etc. So you don't know if that question will be asked to you. I think, like Linda mentioned, you know, they don't be surprised they ask you about your family ties, okay, and your ability to meddle and fuse with the cosmopolitan nature of the workforce, right? It's not just you know, only one nationality, to be multiple nationalities, your ability to work in a team. That will be tested in various ways, right? You don't know how it will come across, but if you are looking at, you know, well-established company that are sophisticated, chances are that they will test that. And but overall, I would emphasize that nowadays, very important that you show your stickiness, right? That you are not here for because the salary are beautiful, you're not paying taxes, at least not for now. That, you know, you want to enjoy a nice flat 3 times, 4 times the size of what you get in Paris for the same price, but you're really here to stick around and to deliver value. Now, we look at specifically for jobs. Okay, and I will draw here from not just my experience, because I got only one job here and I moved to the entrepreneurship, but I think I have many friends and family members who are looking or looked for jobs. I think, first of all, and I re-emphasize what the guys have said, is you should prepare yourself mentally for a long search. Okay, if you are lucky, you can have it in quickly, but you should be mentally prepared that this is a battle in the positive sense, and there is no one size fits all solution, no silver bullet. You gotta use all possibilities or techniques, and you need to uh, not only use social media, LinkedIn, emails, but the way you present yourself, it should be outward looking. You should not say, okay, I'm looking for a job, and like classic emails message that we get. You should articulate the value add you would bring, and how your specific skill set compared to the others stand out. Because, you know, you work, for example, in technology startup in France that could be introduced to the UE market, expanding across GCC. You looked at multiple type of deals that could be relevant in the US. So you really have to go the extra mile to articulate that you're going to be someone who be different from all the people that you see or just looking for a job in the UAE because it's becoming like fashion of the day. Secondly, English is important, right? I think in what sense is that you have to you have to you're gonna hear different dialects, different way of speaking. You know, you should be someone who will be articulate in the meeting. You know, can speak with multiple nationality, can articulate your story and can articulate your argument clearly, and not being someone who, you know, this is first time coming to the UAE. I come with my my English. You know, I've made an effort to get to the next level. So don't be shy and ashamed to, if you need to improve your English, because everyone is improving English every day. So it's about communication skills. Like mentioned, Lee, you know, the market is saturated, right? I have a friend who has been here for 6 months. He hasn't found a job. Okay, he has a good experience. Everyone knocking at the door saying, okay, we have 100 of CVs. If you apply on LinkedIn, you'll find all the time 50, 60. You have to be first. You have to be you have to show that, you know, you're willing to put the extra effort. If they don't ask for a cover letter, do it. Do it extra. Tweak your CV resume according to the industry, right? Don't make it like one size fits all. Highlight the key experiences in bold. So really, you have to do extra effort, and don't be disappointed, right? So at some point, it will come across. Thirdly, think, like I said, come to Dubai. Come to Dubai, have meetings, you know, spend time, go to the events, make a personal business card, you know, show that you are here, that you want to learn, like you want to hear about the region. Don't be too transactional from the beginning, right? I'm looking for a job. Present yourself. Think bigly, think largely. Say, okay, I want to down the road establish a business here. I want to grow, create a subsidiary for you across the GCC market. Be innovative, be creative, right? Because this is how you're going to be perceived as a very credible and committed person. All of these tools, you know, apply to every market. The only difference is here that post-COVID, due to the various factors we discussed, everyone's coming in. And if you're looking at a job in the MENA region, Dubai remains one of the best. You know, I was in Riyadh last 2 weeks, right? Okay, yes, it's booming, etc. But many people, you know, don't like the lifestyle there, right? So don't wanna live there. Okay, so it depends what you are solving for. If you're solving, okay, for money, okay, but if you're solving for a good balance, here remains a good place. So therefore, you'll find a lot of competition coming from all over the world. So I really emphasize that you need to show that you have a specific skill set, and really make it specific to to job or company that you are applying to. So I see a question here, long topic, short term. Yeah, um, I mean, there is that perception, which is actually that's why when they filter through the CV, they will try to figure out if you are here to for a short stint or looking to remain here. So I don't think you should be anywhere anyhow discouraged by that. Uh, Stay committed, okay, but come here and test it. Maybe also between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, maybe you like Abu Dhabi more, right? Abu Dhabi is a bit more closed, fewer opportunities. They're looking more senior people in Abu Dhabi. So maybe your experience is more conducive to Abu Dhabi. Dubai is more diversified. So yeah, I mean, that's in a nutshell. Many things to do, but there's a lot of opportunities.
Thank you, Naeem. So our speakers are now going to share their do's and don'ts. In a few words, what are their best tips? Linda, can you share with us your do's and don'ts, please?
Yes. So probably things we've already said to you, but yeah, in the definitely do list, as Naeem mentioned, go to the UAE. I mean, if it's a long-term project, for instance, just go to the country, try and meet people on site, try to expose what your final project is. I mean, if you're looking for a job, you're looking for a job, but if you're looking to settle and to build a business, explain what are your objectives, what's your life goal, basically. Meet people, try and get introduction, nurture the relationships. It's important because as I said previously, it can be the French community, but it can be anyone. It works this way. The moment you have managed to build a trustful relationship with someone, this can unlock situations at any time. I mean, it's available. I mean, it's true everywhere in the world, not only in Dubai, but especially here. I'm talking about Dubai, but in the UAE, especially, it's absolutely true. Going through the main channels like applying online, saying, yeah, obviously I've done that for 10 years, so I should be the right fit for this position, doesn't work because you're not the only one. Because EMLYON to them doesn't mean what EMLYON means when you're looking for a job in France. There are people applying from everywhere who've been to the top US universities, UK universities, Singapore universities, India universities, from literally anywhere. So the idea, as Naim said, is to craft yourself a profile that talks to people and that manages to get you where you want to go. Now, same thing, just don't go through the main channel thinking you're entitled to this job because you've done that all your life. That doesn't work this way. And as Lee mentioned previously, the situation has changed. It's really, there's really a momentum in the UAE, so people are coming from everywhere. It's a super attractive place. So obviously there are opportunities, but there are challenges because there are a lot of people like you wanting the same thing. So I'd say, yeah, don't be shy about, be very clear about what you want and make the people around you know. It means, yeah, traveling to the country, trying and meet people, trying to schedule meetings with even people you don't know, but saying, you know what, I'm super interested in what's in your industry. I'd like to know more about you. So may we just take coffee? It worked for me, and I was surprised from very senior people at top banks willing to take a coffee in the morning just to tell me, yeah, what they were doing. So yeah, just do the extra mile and don't be shy about your project.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Linda. Yeah, go
just
ahead, Lee.
to add to Linda's point on applying online, also because it's also personal experience, most companies have internal referral programs, right? So if you talk to an international company, employees internally are incentivized to refer top talent, and they get a cash or an equity bonus for referring a successful candidate who goes through and gets a contract. However, keep in mind that if you apply online and then you ask for someone's help to refer you, they're no longer eligible in 99% of the cases. So don't apply online and go to tell someone, hey, listen, I've applied, can you help my case? Because the incentive is not there for there. They're busy, they're not going to invest time and effort just to refer you. If you find a position, reach out to someone working in these companies. They most likely have an internal referral program through which they can make money. So it's a win-win for you and for them. And they will refer you for the position and likely push for you because they know they're making money. So don't apply online and ask for help. Ask for help and get the recommendation from this person. If they have an internal referral program, they will refer you and they will push through. So keep this in mind. Countless people reached out to me saying, hey, I've applied, but I see you're connected to this person. Yeah, but I mean, nobody's an incentive to spend hours helping out in this case. So just keep this in mind. On my end, the do's, I would say similar to what has been said earlier, get acquainted with the local and the regional companies in your industries. Like you need to be able to have conversation with stakeholder, referring to companies in retail, referring companies in hospitality and tech, because the more you show an understanding and knowledge of the market, the more likely people will think that you're heavily invested in finding a job. And also, well, you'll be able to connect the dots and hopefully also make new connections through these conversations. I would say, don't set your compensation expectations too high. It is true that we make, good money in the UAE on average, depending on the roles and depending on the industries. But the cost of living is also fairly high, so it's not all disposable income. I saw there was a question also on saving schemes and and retirement schemes. Obviously, there are things that are not always there, and the system is not fully comparable to what you see in Europe. The one thing I'll tell you though is that in the UAE, you're tempted to spend a lot because the lifestyle is very much aligned with, it's a lot of spending, a lot of entertainment. The one thing I'll tell you is the thing you can do is you can decide where your money and your savings go. So this is also an opportunity to invest your money and make the most out of it without necessarily having to rely on formal, for example, retirement schemes. So you get to decide where the money goes, and hopefully you make the right investment decisions. And in terms of compensation, again, we see Dubai as a bling bling city, or the UAE in general as a country, but salaries can be reasonable. They're not all going through the roof, depending on the industries. But if you know how to sell yourself, as Naeem said, and if you're targeting the right jobs, if you're the right person, they will make the right financial effort to bring you in, and this is where you can negotiate and get the most out of the offer you're getting.
Thank you, Lee. Naeem, could you share your do's and don'ts with us, please?
Yes. Yeah, so everything has been said, so I'm not gonna repeat key points, but I think just a few pointers here is in tactics, maybe strategies. Depends on where you are, right? So some of you are graduating, some are looking for an internship, but what I noticed could be successful is to really have a phased strategy, whereby, for example, you would volunteer to get, for example, a free internship. Okay, don't ask to be paid. And I have a friend who's done it. Say I have this specific skill set. I want to work for a month, the summer, whatever, and I'm not asking for competition. And I'm willing to really contribute my skill set. So again, really adding that UAE, GCC, whatever on your resume will lend credibility to your plans, and as well allow you to test it for yourself, because it's an important investment for yourself to make the leap from Europe to here. And then who knows, when you go back you'll find a job or you miss an opportunity. So maybe if it works for you, find this strategy if you can afford an internship. And secondly, all of us are traveling. So if you're going for Asia, spend 2 days on your transit to Dubai, organize a couple of meetings. It's part of your plans anyway. So and do it not again, not on a transaction basis. Just say, hey, I want to get discuss with you, present myself, get an idea of what's happening in the market. And you want to be on top of mind of key decision makers, because the moment when you decide to apply, you can make reference to these people, right? You say, okay, I saw a job opportunity that you posted. You remember me? We met some time ago, or I met this person, this CEO, this MD, and it really shows that you are different than the other. You really need to differentiate yourself. Um, Find as well connection, European company, subsidiaries here. Again, really make that link, right? Look at company that not 100% homegrown UAE companies, but international multinational company. That's a safer bet to start with. And last but not least, as we said, uh, plan for it. Plan for it early on. Be ready not to receive a response. Okay, it might be really discouraging, painful, especially if you apply online portals. They are overwhelmed with CVs. uh, don't hesitate to follow up, right? It's not a shame. uh, Again, present your message clearly. Don't show too much emotion in your messages. Really, remain very professional. Say, I applied, didn't get an answer. You know, say, okay, I would like to follow up on my comment. Can I get feedback? Can I want to follow up with you? So be a little bit smarter about it, and then uh, find backdoor ways to get. If you want to land in the UAE, maybe start with Saudi, maybe start with Qatar, start with Kuwait myself, right? Not my ideal destination at that time, but it allowed me to get a sense of the GCC market and the differences. So you can start in another country and make slowly tactical steps towards getting in Dubai, and Abu Dhabi, and I saw a lot of people. Maybe also another Emirate, because we have been talking a lot about Dubai, but there are other Emirates. So really, all what I call building up. You need to build up over time to get your result.
Thank you, Naeem. As the emphasis was made on using and growing the network, I just would like to remind all of you that as an EMLYON student or alumni, you do have access to the EMLYON alumni directory. So feel free to use it. Go on the alumni platform. You can use the filters by looking for alumni living in the United Arab Emirates or any other country or France region. And you will find all the alumni living there who have updated their profile, and you can definitely get in touch with them. So feel free to use these services on the EMLYON alumni platform. We are now ready to open the Q&A session. So Delphine.
Well, we can give the floor to Victoria. She had several questions asked on the chat. So please, Victoria, you can ask your question.
Hi, everyone. Sorry for spamming the chat, but it's,
not at all.
yeah, I put a couple of questions on the chat, but I had a specific one for Linda. I guess I was reflecting on your experience sharing around your interview where you were asked about your partner, and my reflection was, well, okay, what's then employer perception where you're moving there as a single person or you're not married? And even more broadly, I was wondering if you could share your experience as a woman in the employment environment, and compared to career perspective, are you seeing highly the women in a higher position in the company? How is the environment around this topic?
Yeah, thanks for asking this question. Actually, very good one. It's true that when I moved there, I was not skeptical, but I was asking myself, would I make it as a woman? Because I didn't know much about the industry. Plus, it's the financial services, which is usually a men's world, let's say it. But yeah, I mentioned this fun fact because I was surprised the first time, but then realized it was pretty much the same for everyone. I saw an answer on the chat that, yeah, it might have been because of the compensation packages, which is true. Usually for expats, some of the fees used to be covered. It's still the case depending on the industry, but they tend to be less than in the past. So for them, it's interesting to know, are you coming by yourself? Do you have kids? And do you need to pay for the school fees, for instance, or is it covered maybe by your partner? So they try and understand the situation. So yeah, first I was surprised, but then realized it might have been for a lot of reasons, but to prevent me from getting the job. Now, as a woman, what I saw in the UAE, surprisingly, there are a lot of women that have senior roles. I feel like even before the whole reach, a lot of rules, you have to travel very often to cover the different markets you have under your responsibility. So the pace is tough on weekdays, but it's accepted that you will go earlier on a Friday before on a Thursday. Even if you have help home, which is more common than in France, for instance, that you have these constraints. So basically, for women, it's also more accepted that you can get pregnant and be not be in office for a few months. So yeah, surprisingly, I saw a lot of women leaders, especially in the financial services. For instance, if I talk about banks, one of the main local banks is run by a woman. Lazar as well, the CEO is a woman. Head of markets used to be a woman for Deutsche Bank. So even for international banks, you have a lot of women that have senior roles, and I was pretty surprised. It's an intention as well of the government, because the senior leader for DIFC for a long time was a woman, and she was the image of DIFC and of DIFC and especially the fintech center. So she was promoting fintech projects, incubators in the country, outside of the country. She was a representative, and she's a woman. So just to tell you that because the culture is different doesn't mean that women don't have their role. And surprisingly, I would say now that I'm slightly more experienced, that I think there are even more opportunities than in some European countries where we think we're super advanced on feminism and the place of women in the workforce. So I hope it answers your question.
No, definitely does. It does, and also helped me, get a better understanding of this question, because it was definitely a question mark. And even from, as you say, a Western perspective, I kind of get a sense that it depends on the company and the culture. I'm currently based in London, working for an American company, and we have a CEO. Which is a woman. So you feel protected in that environment, but I'm definitely conscious that it could be different. Even in the
I understand. It was surprising because it was this interview, even with MasterCard. I'm not talking about a local company. It was with MasterCard. So I was surprised to get this question in the middle of the process. But the moment you go through, it's just also as an expat, I feel like and again, it's like personal understanding of the situation, but as an expat, I tended to share more about my personal situation when working abroad than working in my own country. It means when living in Dubai, I was invited to a lot of professional events, even to concerts by my own boss. His wife was there. I brought my husband. We met each other. It's just a different culture, it's more like in the UK. You can have these gatherings, and then the next day you move to something else. It's very professional. There's nothing, we're not friends. We're not having breakfast every morning together. But I brought my husband much more to professional events when I was in Dubai than I will ever do when working in France. So it may explain as well these kinds of questions, trying to understand who's your partner, what's your situation. It has an impact. Instead of being neglected or put aside, it's brought to the table. But saying that it will disqualify you because of this, it may, I don't know, but definitely it was not the feeling I had.
I just had another question, and then I'll leave the floor to others for them to ask the question. It was more about sectors, because I'm currently working in pharma. And I guess if you look at the US, for example, it's great for global roles. If you look at London here, it's more an international headquarter. Quite often company get there. And if you want to look at new market like the Middle East, would you find pharma companies there looking for more internal talents, local talents, or open to recruit people coming from all over the world? So about that, those sector maybe that will be more open to people, external talent. Is pharma one of them? I don't know if any of the speakers has any expertise on that.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer this. Listen, keep in mind that Dubai is a hub for the Middle East, or the MEA region. And MEA can sometimes include, it's called MENAP, so it can include India and Pakistan as well, and Turkey in some cases. So it's a pretty large territory, and it's a fast growth territory for any type of company. Most of the headquarters for the actual corporate brands are in Dubai. And so by definition, they look for talent, and if they're coming from abroad, well, they come from abroad. I personally know people working in top pharma companies, some of them Swiss companies, some of them French, based in Dubai. Some of them are French, some of them are Lebanese. So again, I don't think there's a limitation to where you can apply based on where you're coming from. it all boils down to what the three of us have been saying is like, if you're a top talent and you know how to position yourself and you build the right connections and you have access to the right people, then ultimately opportunities will be there. But to answer your questions, yes, headquarters, and you can just look them up, right? You can look at HQs for the region, for most of the pharma companies you would be interested in applying to. And all of them, or if not most of them, will be in Dubai. So that's like, it's a given, yeah. And the same applies for FMCG, the likes of Unilever, Colgate Palmolive, Mars, all of these companies, Coca-Cola, all of these companies have their head offices and HQs for the region here.
I'll just add to Lee. So I worked a bit in pharma. I looked at a couple of companies here. So the market is concentrated. There are a few players here in the UAE. A lot of them are free zone areas, but the market has been growing steadily. There's been a lot of push toward local manufacturing, so to produce generics. And a lot of these players have been looking at not only catering to the local market, but also exporting to neighboring countries, and particularly Saudi Arabia. Okay. That being said, if you take this in consideration, you have to look at your skill set and see if you can fit in the story. So if these players are looking for individual like yours, probably, who either good in manufacturing, okay, so you can improve margin because it's remain a competitive market. To have a specific market or therapeutic area expertise. Here in this region, chronic diseases are rising, right? Especially in GCC, obesity, diabetes, and cardio. So in addition to that, you have a lot of a big push into cosmetics. So you have really to think about how your international experience will fit in specifically for what they need, and to think about how you can overcome any local challenges. For example, people who knows about sales strategies here have been working 5-10 years, know the tactics, how to sell to pharmacies, how to sell wholesaler. If you don't have that experience, you might be at a disadvantage. So again, the opportunity are there, but you have to think a bit more broadly, like Lee mentioned, export country, but also why you, right? Really, why you? And especially that if you have worked in London and Europe, you're gonna bring something that that they don't have, but you have to make it clear.
Thank you. Any other questions? We had some question in the chat, but they have been already answered by Lee or Naeem. Do you have any other questions?
I think there was a question from Sophia. Yeah, Sofiane.
Okay, Sofiane, did you?
Senior positions. I think Naeem is probably in a better position to.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you. Thank you, Sofiane.
Hi, hello. Sorry, I could not turn on my camera because I'm working from home today and it's my lunchtime. So sorry for that. So my question was, I think that in 2018, I went to Dubai and I spent some time to meet with people working in finance. And one advised me to wait until senior positions to come to Dubai and work in the investment banking and more in general the finance industry, because the problem that was that there were not enough managers to perform training for junior positions, and the fact that if you want to have I think the best learning, you have to wait until senior positions, and you would rather stay in Paris or in London to for the first years of your career. And I wonder if it's still relevant today, because time has changed, obviously, and things go quickly. So I would like to have your opinion. please.
Yeah, I can take this one. So what you're saying is broadly true. The reason being is very simple, right? So if you look at the structured analyst program for investment banking, most of them, they are headquartered or based in a major metropolis. So whether London, to some extent Paris, Hong Kong, New York, right? Because
Okay.
they have a cohort of new analysts, and they have uh, that's a fully structured process. You know, they take you through Wall Street prep training, you know, modeling, and there is a mentor, etc. The market here is peripheral because they don't have, first of all, the M&A level is not that one what you find in Europe. Okay, they will hire selective number of analysts ad hoc, really for the team is small, and they're looking for people who are generalists. Okay, because you could work on healthcare deal the next day, oil and gas, etc. So by virtue of that, you need to have some background. You need to have looked at multiple deals, you know, be well groomed, and can hit the ground running day one. So when I was working in a private equity fund, we faced the same issue. We hired some couple of analysts or senior analysts or junior associate from investment banks in Europe, and they have 2-3 years of experience. Because we don't have the bandwidth to train people, we are limited in terms of resources. The team is small, and we don't have the budget to train analysts, you know, over a structured process. So whether you wait or no is a judgment call, because all I've said is general, but in reality there could be opportunities where the team could be small, in small boutique investment banks, where again you would be able to connect with the senior people. They will train you on specific deals, etc. So the culture will depend. So depends on whether that firm exists. It requires a lot of research, but at the same time, the drawback for you is that the deal flow might be more limited. You will rely on one person who knows, you know, what's his experience, right? So it's a higher risk. So higher risk would require you to take that challenge. If I were you, to be on the safe side,
Yeah.
get some investment banking experience in London, Paris, even 1 year, and then immediately apply for here, but show that, you know, that 1 year you close deals, and then
Okay.
you can move to associate position, right?
Okay.
It's a little bit high risk to go indeed straight, especially if you're looking to learn tools and have someone who train you, etc.
Okay. Thank you for your answer. And maybe I was misleading in my message because I have already 4 to 5 years experience, and I'm in an associate role today. So you think maybe it's not that junior position at this level, maybe?
No, it's not that junior. It's on you could apply for a VP position or a senior associate position. But at the same time, what I've seen people conceding on the title. If you are obsessed by title, you might lose an opportunity. So I know people who were VPs, they accepted associate position because it's competitive. And
Okay.
many people who are applying for the same job. So think think about how you could quickly get to where you want, right? You could be associate, right? And then maybe a VP, or about to be VP, and then you accept associate, and then within 6 months to 1 year, you can prove yourself and get to VP, and that's it, right? Okay, you might have the title might be, you know, annoying for you when you look at it and think about it. Salary wise, you will be missing, but long term, you'll be winning because you have been more flexible than others. And I think the second part of the answer is that title, yes, but again, going back to what we all discussed, what's your real value add transaction wise, sector wise, right? If you have something now into real estate remains a hot topic, infrastructure is a
Okay.
big topic, right? Fintech,
Oil and
etc.
gas.
Yeah, yeah. So don't think, okay, I have 3 years, I'm entitled. There is no entitlement. Really focus on your value add,
Okay.
and then you can fit in how you can really bring that experience day one. For example, you know very well about oil and gas. Day one, you can build a complex model for oil and gas, right? That's perfect. They will listen to you because they are working on oil and gas. So really think about it that way.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you, Naeem, and thank you, Sofiane. I'm just trying to find out some other questions here. Geoffroy, do you want to ask your question directly?
It was more of a comment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was not really a question. I lived in the UAE for 7 years, and now I'm back in Europe. But I was sharing some tips. I think what we just said on the title also is quite important to consider. Sometimes I feel in the UAE the title are a bit disconnected from what we see in Europe. Maybe a bit like India. You have a lot of VPs, a lot of GMs, a lot of people who are so don't be shocked if sometimes you have to apply to VP positions, senior director positions when you are just middle managers. That's my experience. Sometimes there is a disconnect, and I was sharing the comment. There is a lot of local companies which are unknown from Europe but very big. If you consider telco, it's Etisalat in Dubai. In Saudi, it's another one like any. So this player are hiring quite a lot. They are the one who usually propose good packages. So it's, I think, important to consider in your research not only the typical European or American companies that everybody knows, but the local company which are basically representing this company in the GCC.
Thank you, Geoffroy. I think it's a Q&A session, of course, but any information you might want to add is very welcome as well. So thank you, Geoffroy. And if anyone has someone else to add or any experience to share, it's still time to do it. There was a question for me about going global, sorry. So the access to Going Global is free, and it's open to all alumni and students as well. And it's a very large and very interesting database. I went on it during the session and trying to find out some information. It's very interesting. So you should go and you should try it. You will find job offers, but as well any information about recruiters and big companies. There are more than 2,000 companies listed on the global ongoing global, so you might find very interesting insight for your job search in UAI. Any other questions maybe before we stop the session?
Delphine, actually, just a note for everyone. Through my company, we do quite a lot of recruitment and placement, not for a niche position, mostly tech companies, sales, operations, marketing. But if you're in these fields, don't hesitate to reach out because we're connected with a bunch of companies, and also our network. We're well connected with other recruiters and agencies that might be a bit more specialized in other fields. So if anything, don't hesitate, connect with me on LinkedIn, just add a small note reminding me that you attended this webinar, because as you can imagine, we receive a lot of invites all day long, just to be sure it's part of the community and we connect with the right people. But we do help with recruitment and placement on a variety of businesses and fields, so don't hesitate to reach out.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you for this addition, and thank you for being open to any question you might have. Any other insight or question?
Yes, I have a question.
Thank you.
I really appreciate all the information that you give today, but I a little bit more interested about entrepreneurship, and I would like to know if you have an idea of how is the process to open up a startup in UAE, and if it's more interesting depending on a region or city, and if you have like a big incubator who help like young entrepreneur in different field to open up businesses. Yes.
Naeem, do you wanna? I mean, I can take it if you want, or
Oh,
I
okay.
work with
Go ahead.
startups mostly.
Yeah, go ahead. I will follow you.
All right. So listen, in simple terms, very easy.
Okay.
In a business, it literally takes a couple of days, if
Okay.
not faster. Now, depending on the type of business you want to open, you might need to take a what we call a mainland license, where you actually need to trade goods and services in the territory, or a free zone license where you're offering, goods and services to the international markets. So, I mean, there's this distinction, but it's not very important in terms of how easy and how costly it is. Practically speaking, it's more or less the same costs and more or less as easy as it would be in any other emirate or free zone. You might need to pay a couple of thousand of euros a year, maybe more, depending on whether you need a visa or not. Typically, you do, so it might cost you a bit more. Practically speaking, it's very quick, very efficient, very business friendly. And there are a variety of free zones, specifically if you're in a startup or in a tech business, for example. There are a variety of free zones, whether it's in Dubai, Abu Dhabi, or in other Emirates, that make the process extremely easy for you and cost efficient. So don't take this as a limitation. It's extremely business friendly. So that's the first thing I'll tell you. In terms of incubators, 100%. You do have many incubators and accelerators in Dubai and Abu Dhabi specifically. If depending on what you're looking to build as a business, there might be some of them that are more focused on specific verticals or tech or industries. But if you want to have a look, in Abu Dhabi, you have Hub 71. You have In7 as well in Dubai. You have a bunch of accelerators, and most of them have information online. Another company or organization I'd recommend you look into is called Astro Labs. They are basically a platform for startups. They offer shared offices, trainings, but they're also very well connected with accelerators and free zones that can then help you open up your business. So there are a variety of ways to do it, but extremely simple, very quick, very efficient. But you need to basically pick the area, the city, or the free zone based on your industry, as well as where you feel you're going to be the most connected and the most kind of exposed to the stakeholders that matter to you most.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Naeem, do you want to add something, or?
No, actually, it's very relevant. I'm in the process of setting up my company here. I have it in France. So yeah, I second what Lee said. It's faster. Okay. Again, the main difference is there is a tax element to it. Okay, so the tax element makes it easier in some extent, because you all know about the tax system in France. It's one of the most sophisticated in the world. So it has certain implication the way you set up your entity. There are legal processes that needs to be followed. The reason for me, at least my experience, I have my company in France to cover Europe. I need to set up one here to cover a GCC market. It took me time to think it through, because for me, like Lee said, opening a company here is easy. You really have to ask yourself about the real objective of it. What's the purpose? And you're gonna really use it for efficient purposes. Don't rush to create a company because, okay, I have a company in UAE, but then you have to make money, and you have to think about the cost associated to it. There is fixed cost. Then you need to have visa sponsorship. You need to hire one person. You have to hire people. You have to have office space, etc. But I would say it's not. There are very variety of options. There are also companies that help you set up the businesses. Everything is done online. Literally everything is online. You don't need to almost be here. Where I would say is a couple of things. First of all, be prepared for a little bit more KYC, to open a bank account. It might take time. It's a little bit painful with some banks. So maybe you want to
Yes.
go with a neobank, okay?
Okay.
And secondly, think about where you want to do business. Okay, mainland, offshore. Do you want to be export oriented or no? Locally, right? So these are little nuances, but overall, it's pretty smooth.
If I can add on what you just said, Naeem, because when I was in the UAE, I had to open a company as well to start as an independent. So what you can do, yeah, from abroad is just try and look at the different free zones, try and understand what are the main, let's say, industries. I mean, if you're into pharma, maybe it's better to be settled here or there. Likewise, if you do financial services or consulting, it might be better. So you can just, usually they have teams that are dedicated just to answer your questions, because at the end of the day, it's going to be a question of costs, but as well sometimes of the reputation you get from the license you have, depending on the business you work in. And as Naeem said, yeah, depending on the activity you will choose, it might influence the way the easiness to get a bank account. I give you its personal experience, but I didn't know when I started my company. I said business consulting because it was super general and I was doing consulting. But then when I moved to the next phase, which was to open a bank account, professional bank account, I had difficulties because they said, you should have selected another category, because yeah, for this one, it's super complex. So you have to provide documents that I was not able to provide because they would ask for my for the revenues and for the revenues generated by the company, but the company was not created yet. So it was kind of complex. So just saying, as you said, overall it's easy, but just get as much information as you can ahead. Because it's very bespoke depending on your sector of activity, the business you want to open. Does it have to be mainland or in a free zone? And if it's in a free zone, what kind of free zone? Because they all have attractive offers, but then it just depends on what you need from a reputational perspective or from cost perspective.
Okay.
Thank you, Lee. Thank you, Naeem, and thank you, Linda. We are getting almost to the end of this webinar, so maybe Florian, you want to give the last word before we cut the presentation?
Yes, thank you, Delphine. So thank you everyone for attending this session today, and a big thank you to our three speakers, Linda, Lee, and Naeem, for sharing their experience and tips on the Emirati job market today. We hope the contents of this webinar has been useful to you and answered your question. You will find the replay and the slide of this webinar on the alumni platform in a few days. We're working with Delphine on the next destination we are going to cover for next year. So we hope to see you online soon. If you have any question regarding the alumni network, feel free to contact us on the email address that I'm going to put on the chat now. And thank you very much again to everyone, and goodbye.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much
everyone.
too.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.